Hello everyone and welcome to today's show with sportsbookreview.com. I'm your host Lee Martin, here to talk UFC Fight Night Jessica I versus Cynthia Calvillo with the man himself, Dave Manyun. But before we get into any UFC talk, like always, go ahead, give us a like and subscribe to our channel. That way you never miss a show. Now let's get to it. How are you today, Dave?
I'm good, thanks. I'm back from my devastating arm injury last week. We're ready for another fight night card. I see a lot of people complaining, but I love this sport, and a fight card is a fight card for me, so I'm pumped.
Yeah, exactly. Now let's just get right into it. Now briefly, we're just going to discuss the prelim card. Do you have a favorite fight or top pick for the prelims?
Well, I spent a lot of time researching the females on the prelims. Unfortunately, one of those fights between Agapova was changed at the very last minute, and we are now seeing Hannah Cifers versus Maria Agapova. This is a very interesting matchup, and it's becoming very difficult to bet because of the line. But it's real hard to put our faith in Hannah Cifers right now. Now, we must note that she does have a huge experience advantage in this fight in terms of opposition, but it's not like she's done well against these girls. Now, this Maria Agapova is quite unknown. She's a young girl. She's only 23 years old, so experience isn't really on her side. But with that said, damn, I think the reach advantage is going to be about 6 inches. We've got a girl that's going to be 5'5" against a girl that's 5'1", and the girl that's 5'1" is coming off the back of 2 pretty devastating losses, which just it doesn't look good for Cifers. I hear people with their argument that she's tough. She can take a shot and all this, but if that's the reason why you're arguing for a fighter to win, it's not a very good argument, in my opinion. When I watched the tape on Maria Agapova, she's good. She has some good striking. Now, I can't remember the girl she fought, but oh my, she unleashed a combo and then she jumped onto her back and choked her out, and it was a beautiful sight to see. And now she's making a UFC debut, and I'm not seeing the same nerves that we'd get from these debutants prior to when we had an audience and a crowd in attendance. It seems like these people are coming through, and the spotlight's not as bright because the pressure of, friends, family, and a whole arena full of people it doesn't exist. Now she's young and green. She was holding quite a significant experience advantage against her previous opponent in terms of competition and level. She trains out of American Top Team, which isn't too shabby, one of the best gyms in the world. Just the size discrepancy, it's got to be Maria Agapova, but finding a position to bet her is becoming tough. Would have been happy taking her when she was in the -190 region, but looking at the booking now, it seems as though everyone feels pretty much the same way I do. So maybe Maria Agapova as part of your parlay piece, if you don't like paying up, but I don't see Hannah Cifers doing much, I'm afraid. And then another one I'll touch on the undercard whilst I'm here is Gina Mazzani versus Julia Avila. Another fight that I spent quite a lot of time looking at. Julia Avila is real impressive. Now, it was unfortunate that she's not coming into this fight with a third successive KO victory against Pani Kianzad, because damn, on multiple occasions that girl was rocked, and I thought Julia was going for another knockout victory. She has got hands, boy. She has got serious hands. Now, she don't have huge UFC experience, and when you take a closer look at the people she's fought, it'll tell you a lot about her skill level. She's got Marion Renault as her pro debut fight. Now, this is a 42-year-old who's still on the UFC roster to this day and has wins over Sarah McMahon, Talia Bernardo, Jessica Andrade, just an array of talented girls. So for me, that is a huge reflection on Julia Avila here, because that's the girl that she made her pro debut against. She also has wins over Nika Montano, who notably has wins over Roxanne Modafferi. So I mean, it's not so much UFC experience she has, but certain girls she's fought, you can see that she is ready for this level of competition. And if you go check her highlight reel, that will back me up on that as well. She's got some incredible striking, offense, and defense. It's got to be. I'm trying to figure out a good way to make this a play because of the juice, but it's impossible. So in reality, I think it's perfect for a parlay. And you know what? If you can pay up to the minus 400 and 500, you're not going to have many troubles. You're not going to have many troubles at all. Gina Mazzani, look, no disrespect, she's 1-3 in the UFC. I think she was in the UFC. She left. She went and fought at KOTC Championship against a nobody. Yeah, she did win that. Looks like she's being brought back to the UFC for their overly booked schedule. One thing I did notice about the bookmaker's history in Gina Mazzani is that the bookmaker has predicted every single one of her fights correct that has been at the bookmaker, and every single time they've been spot on with the odds, and they're right there again. They're fading Gina heavy. They're doing it for a reason. I mean, there's not much argument for Gina, hence the price. Now, you could be looking at the inside the distance prop if you wanted to, but I'd be comfortable paying up. I really would. I'd be comfortable going real heavy on Julia Avila, to be honest, because this might be one of the best fights on the card, because Avila is just entertaining in every single one of her bouts. So yeah, that's that for the prelims.
All right. Well, if you want to get in on those fights on BetOnline, Mazzani is plus 360 and Avila is minus 460. Then Hannah Cyphers is plus 190 and Agapova is minus 225. Now let's just head on over to the main card. We're going to start off with the bantamweight Jourdain Espinosa versus Mark De La Rosa. On BetOnline, Espinosa is minus 160 and De La Rosa is plus 140. So can you give me your breakdown and pick for that fight, Dave?
Sure. It's a bantamweight fight between, a guy in Jourdain Espinosa who's been a bit on-off. I can't really get a good read on him in terms of handicapping and putting money on him. But then he's facing a guy in Mark De La Rosa who's worse. De La Rosa had certain hype behind his name, but just crashed and burned. And he's now on a 3-fight losing streak. Good chance that if he doesn't win this, the UFC will not offer him a contract again, and he will have to go on an amazing win streak to get their attention and find himself back under the UFC banner. So he is fighting for his job, which is always good to note, because it's going to give you that fire in your belly. I'm at the top of this game. I'm on a losing streak, and if I lose this, it's going to be a lot of hard work to get back there. So yeah, that should be noted. But Jourdain Espinosa, 2-2 in the UFC. He came up from Dana White Contender Series with a pretty nice third-round TKO. He's very light on his feet, in and out of the pocket at some serious speed, and he gets after it early. A lot of first-round finishes for Jourdain Espinosa because he just comes out on fire. That's what he does. His previous 2 fights, I think he tapped his opponent in the first round. Thing is, he's now facing a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt in Mark De La Rosa, so I'm not sure that the submission offense will be there, but we'll see. I'm not even sure if he'll initiate the grappling. I'm not sure if he's going to even have to enter that path, because he could have the striking advantage all on his side. And it might be a mistake for him to take De La Rosa to the ground, considering the black belt's there. He loves his kicks as well, I've noticed. But he can personally, when I'm watching tape on Jourdain Espinosa, I found it quite easy to read him. So if I was in the corner of his opponent, I would have found it quite easy to give my fighter tips on what to do and where to go and how to approach the round if he was losing. So, but that could differ from fight to fight. And yeah, he's still progressing, even though he is 30. Jourdain Espinosa, I do see him still with the progression. Glory MMA Fitness with James Krause and them boys. And James Krause, by the way, I must note, is one of the best coaches. So James Krause is currently signed by the UFC and fights in the UFC, but I'll tell you that guy's got a career for life in coaching. I think he's going to be one of the great coaches of the future, because when I watch that man coach classes on YouTube, it's incredible. He's got a passion like no other. So that's always a good thing to have a team like that. And then he's facing this Mark De La Rosa, who's just been a pretty bad disappointment, 3-fight losing streak. Yeah. Job's on the line, boy. We should note, though, that he's lost his word to Kai Kara-France and Alex Perez. Alex Perez is decapitating people, and Kai Kara-France is one of the best kickboxers in his respective division. So we can't be too harsh on him. But this kid is going to have a problem in the striking area for me. He doesn't have his jab, which is pretty important. Don't see many level changes from him. The head work's not really there. And it was a real poor fight when he fought the newcomer, Paiva. And I just can't get behind De La Rosa at this point. The odds right now, let me have a look. Yeah, that's about fair, I guess. Yeah. 155, I'm seeing the best price, or 160.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, on Bet Online, it's 160 for Espinosa. Yeah.
That sounds fair to me. Will I personally be placing a wager on it? I don't know my final bets until the end of the week, but right now I would lean Jourdain Espinosa to win that fight. But be careful, because De La Rosa is fighting for his job, so yeah. There is always that to take into account.
Yep. All right, so if you do want to get in on this fight, again, on Bet Online, Espinosa is minus 160 and De La Rosa is plus 140. Now let's move on to the next fight. We have featherweight, Fili versus Charles Jourdain. On Bet Online, Fili's minus 220 and Jourdain is plus 185. Can you give me your breakdown and pick for that fight?
Yeah, so we're on to the featherweights. Mm-hmm. Interesting line, I must say, because, you know, we've got, I mean, they're quite similar, these two, I guess. We've just got a more polished, more experienced Fili than we have Charles Jourdain. I do lean Fili, and I lean Fili since the moment I saw this fight. Before I watched any fight tape for any of it, I lean Fili, but I did not expect the line to be flying into the 200s. I'm looking in front of me now. I'm looking at minus 230 and minus 225. You need to go. Some of these people need to go watch Charles Jourdain fight, because this kid can swing, and to be putting that much faith into Fili, I mean, to me, is a bit risky. Jourdain is great all-round martial artist, and he's slowly improving. He's only 24, so the problem we have with these kids is you can see them one fight, and by the next time you see them in your head, you've only seen them a couple of weeks ago, because, you know, these fight cards they're months apart, but we get the fight cards every week. And you'll see a kid, it's been a couple months, and he'll come in with a whole bag of new skills. So I'd be quite worried to be laying that kind of number. I think he trains at home in Canada. It's not like he's got an incredible, well-known gym around him, but I think as far as Canadian MMA, I know that Marc-Andre Barriault trains with him, is a notable partner who's actually fighting next week as well. So I reckon he's been getting the camp in well, and he's a two-division champion in another promotion. When we talk about champions in other promotions, it's like, well, yeah, it's not the UFC and da-da-da-da-da, but it's very rare you'll see a two-division championship. It's good to take note of that. Yeah, he's taken out guys in multiple weight classes, and as this heavy favorite, he came as the heavy favorite against Du Hoi Choi. Now, I know Choi was a bit of an overhyped prospect and had a bit of a slugfest with Swanson that put him on the map, but he still beat him, and he was still the 220 dog, and that price reached plus 348 at one point, and at the closer was about 250. But for them odds, some people were able to get plus 348 on Jourdain in his last fight, and he's back at it again as the huge dog. He's got a flashy striking game, unorthodox feints. Didn't do great against Desmond Green. That's probably the worst fight. But Du Hoi Choi got absolutely finished with style. He's gonna have a problem with the takedowns, and that's probably why I can't put him as an underdog play, because I really would be tempted to take him as an underdog play in this one. Andre Fili is quite a similar fighter, but he's just got a much better grappling game. He's the experienced one of the two. He's fought a lot of tough guys and beat a lot of tough guys. Heavy hands, nice boxing. Got some great jabs, good leg kicks, and he dropped that Brazilian, forget his name, Shaman Moraes, with a beautiful kick to the body. Beautiful. He took a kick off him and he threw one back, and when he threw the kick back, it put his opponent out. One thing that he does great is utilizing his jab. It's just effortless with Andre Fili. Snap, 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 jab. And that's going to come at hand with keeping Jourdain at bay, because Jourdain's a bit of a wild one. And then when we look at Andre Fili's grappling, he has some beautiful double leg takedowns, which we saw in his previous fight that he lost, which was a good fight, even though he lost against Sadiq Youssef, who's a prodigy himself. So there's no shame, and that was actually a great fight. And the takedowns he landed in that fight were awesome. And that's what's stopping me from having a little sprinkle on the underdog. That's the wrestling of Fili. I think if Fili can come into this fight, focus on grappling, use that jab, it's gonna be Fili, unfortunately. I think like I say, both fighters have a similar style, but the key factor really is the experience and that wrestling. So yeah, Andre Fili for me in that one.
All right, so if you do want to get in on this fight, again, on BetOnline, Andre Fili is minus 220, Jourdain is plus 185. I was thinking about hitting Jourdain with that one, so I guess we'll see. Mm-hmm. Now let's move on to the next fights. Bantamweight, Merab Dvalishvili, great name, versus Ray Borg. On BetOnline, Merab is minus 405, Borg is plus 305. So can you give me your take on that fight?
Yeah, we're seeing this a lot, and this is becoming more frequent, and no doubt, for this foreseeable future, we're going to be seeing these guys take fights in quick succession. The UFC can't travel all around the planet, so fighters are limited. For people that didn't know and people that like to talk crap about Dana White, I'll give you a bit of info on the Usman fight. It was offered to Leon Edwards, my guy, from Birmingham, England, but they couldn't get the fight sorted. That's how serious this pandemic still is. Like people can't get past it right now. So we're seeing guys like Ray Borg, American in America, who are still healthy and can be cleared by the doctor, take on fights that they usually wouldn't. There's no planning, no preparation. Ray Borg is not ready for this fight, in my opinion. I think he's going to lose. The odds there. The odds tell you all you need to know. What can I say about Ray Borg? He's going to have like I was looking at I think he's going to have a reach advantage, and I think that's literally all I could really favor him in. Dvalishvili is like Ricky Simone on drugs. So we watched Ray Borg get hammered by Ricky Simone, I think it was 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago now. And now Ray Borg has to take on a guy in Dvalishvili who is much better than Ricky Simone. He's like just a better version of Ricky Simone. So wrestling reigns supreme. The average for Merab is he lands a takedown every 2 minutes on average. So That's pretty damn impressive. This guy just spams takedowns, spam. Props, I guess, maybe, or parlay piece. If you think Borg's tough enough to, survive the ground and pound that Merab's probably going to put on him, then Dvalishvili by decision is one route you could take, I guess. But these juicy odds, it's always good for a parlay. There's a few good juicers on this card actually that you could put together and come up with a decent parlay, because I'd never say there's a guarantee in this sport, and I'd never say there's a guarantee in betting whatsoever, because the bookmaker would be out of business if there was. But Dvalishvili and Avila, like these type of bets, they're a high probability for a reason. So yeah, it's all Merab for me. I don't want to spend too long on a fight that's obvious, and it doesn't really take a genius to break down this fight. You literally just have to watch the previous 4 fights of both guys, or even highlights. And it's easy one for me. It's Merab Dvalishvili.
All right. Well, if you want to get in on that via BetOnline, Merab Dvalishvili, I need to practice that name.
Dvalishvili it's a tough
is
one.
-4. It's like a tongue twister. Is -405, and Ray Borg is +305. There we go. Now on to the next one. We have middleweight Karl Roberson versus Marvin Vettori. Via BetOnline, Vettori is -205 and Roberson is +175. So can you give me your take on that fight?
This is an interesting fight, a really interesting fight, because of the drama that surrounds it.
Yeah.
They were meant to have the fight before. Roberson was pulled. Vettori said this, that. They had an exchange in the locker room area or wherever, in the hotel, wherever they were. So these guys, well, I'm not sure about Roberson, but I know for sure that Vettori does not like his opponent. And I mean, for a fighter like Vettori, it's probably gonna fuel the fire and help him. I mean, some guys that's a mental disadvantage, but Vettori is a different kind of kid. Italian. I'm pretty sure is the single Italian guy, fully fledged Italian on the UFC roster. I don't think we have another Italian on the roster. Yeah, he literally started fighting because he was a fan. So it just goes to show that if you want to do something and live your dream, it's quite possible. Now, this kid is only 26 years old, but you wouldn't know it. And he is the guy that could have been holding that bout that Adesanya is holding now, because he was the person that came closest to defeating Israel. And in a different location with a different set of judges, it would have been Vettori walking away with his hand raised that day, because it was a very close split decision. That fight should have been a draw, in my opinion. And just watching that fight alone will show you, and I think it's been 2 years since that fight as well, it will show you how good Vettori is and how good he can be, because he hasn't even reached his prime. He's so far from his prime. Maybe another 4 or 5 years, we could see the future middleweight champ, or at least challenger, that's for sure. But a loss can mean so much. You can look at the rankings now. I think Vettori is ranked 17th and Israel's the champion holding that gold. And all it was that split decision, that one judge, and then one fighter is propelled into stardom and the other is, barely in the top 20 rankings. But his opponent is an interesting one too, Karl Roberson. He's the older fighter. It's not like he's got no time to waste, our boy Roberson. He's fought 3 times in 2019. And with this middleweight division, when I look at the rankings from where these boys are sat, I think Vettori's 17th and Roberson's 19th ranked. When you look below them, oh God, I would not want to be trying to make my way through them rankings. That's for sure. professional kickboxer Roberson. So the striking game is going to be interesting for me. Personally, I think Vettori is going to be faster in the striking department. I really think he can snap and get there fast. Vettori's striking defense is great, really good. His output is also good. For what he lacks in his defense with his hands, he can get in and out real fast. He's not as precise, I'd say, as Roberson, and he may land a lower percentage accuracy, but I think he's going to make up for them numbers in defense and output per minute. As you see, as I mentioned with the Israel fight, it was a close split decision. Vettori can outwork his opponent very well. Now, his cardio isn't the worst, it isn't the greatest, but it always gives him enough to be able to take them points. And his ground game is underrated too. He's a brown belt, and I'm quite sure if this fight goes to the floor, Roberson's going to get tapped out or he's going to be in trouble. Roberson offensively on the ground, he's comfortable. He doesn't mind, but as soon as this kid's on his back, he doesn't like it. He doesn't like it at all. I preferred the odds of the previous fight. I think at one point we had a 170, minus 170, and now they're getting juiced up. I guess that's just down to not many sports, more people betting on it, I guess, because the line as of now is you can get it at 200 at some books, 205, but a lot of them are close to 230 or in the 220 region, which I'm not sure is the correct line, but I still think Vettori's got this fight. I still think he's got it in the bag. Most likely a decision, because Karl Roberson is tough. Even though he is the older fighter, I just think Vettori's been through more, he's done more, and I'd be much more comfortable having my money behind the Italian dream, yep. Marvin Vettori.
Yep. All right, if you want to get on that fight, via BetOnline again is Vettori minus 205 and Roberson plus 175. Now let's go to the main event. Women's flyweight Jessica Eye versus Cynthia Calvillo. Last week, Dave, I know we did our first look with the two ladies, and then at that time, the odds were Jessica Eye minus 105 and Calvillo minus 115. Now, via BetOnline, Jessica Eye is minus 116 and Calvillo minus 104. So can you give me your take on that fight after those odds?
My people at BetOnline have juiced up Jessie then, I guess. I see her at Pick'em at some books. Do I see a book favouring Cynthia? I don't think I do. No, I don't. And there's a reason for that. It's a size discrepancy. As you mentioned, we did our first look video last Friday, and not much has changed. It's a tight, close fight. The odds are about where they should be. I'm leaning Jessica Eye, and it's just a standing striking advantage I think she'll have, along with her size advantage. And that's all it boils down to, really. The odds are perfect. I think it's a real tough fight to break down. Cynthia's such a tough grappler, great grappler. Jessica's good on the feet. It's a striker versus grappler, but it's a size thing. Cynthia's coming up, and we don't know how she's going to fare at this weight. I mentioned in the first look video, I think she's had one fight at this weight, and that was a pro debut. Now, I wouldn't have tons of confidence coming into this, slapping all my money on Jessica Eye, but I do think she'll take this. Most likely a decision, if you want to juice up your odds. Calvillo, when I watched the tape on Calvillo, it's hard to ignore her struggling holding down these smaller girls. I just don't think she's going to be able to hold a girl the size of Jess down. I just can't see it happening. Yeah, it's going to be a sticky decision, but I have to side with Jessica Eye. And if you want to see a better breakdown, go check out our first look video.
Exactly. So again, via BetOnline, Jessica Eye is -116 and Calvillo is -104. And just like how Dave said, if you want an even further breakdown on the main event, go to our YouTube page at SBR Sports and check out our first look video. Well, that's all I have for you today, Dave. Thank you so much for dropping some knowledge. If you aren't following Dave on Twitter, definitely give him a follow at Dave Manyun _. And if you're not following us on Twitter and Instagram, definitely give us a follow at SBR Sports Picks. And then, like always, give us a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you're updated with all new and upcoming content. Again, thank you so much, Dave. Until next time.
Thank you.